It's a great pleasure today to visit Toronto University, their modern history of Japan, particularly with the focus of Japan's Meiji Industrial Revolution, with a focus on heavy industry, shipbuilding, iron steel, and coal mining. The image of Japan is usually when I ask question, the image of Japan, Kyoto, sushi, tempura, animation. But Japan is an industrial nation and one of the world's industrial economy. And third, in terms of a gross domestic product after the United States to People's Republic of China, technology is the soul of a country. In mid-19th century, Japan was secluded archipelago, geographically remote from industrial and economic dynamism of Europe and America. It was a highly organized feudal society governed by clans under Tokugawa shogunate isolationist policy, which lasted for more than 2 centuries. Any attempt to leave the country was strictly forbidden. Shogunate control the trade and commerce, production of arms and weapons, contact with foreigners, Christianity, religion. Japan has achieved rapid industrialization that was founded in key industrial sectors, shipbuilding, iron steel, coal mining, and textile. Within just 15 years, from mid-19th century to the beginning of 20th century, emergence of industrial Japan at that time was a phenomenon. At that time, really unique in the history. First time it has happened in non-Western nation, and Japan erecting and maintaining control of industrial process on its own terms. The wave of industrialization started from the southwest of Japan, Kyushu and the Yamaguchi region. This is the map of Japan. Edo, Tokyo, is in the middle, facing the Pacific Ocean. Kyushu Yamaguchi region is inside the red circle. Why did it start from southwest of Japan? How do you think? Why from southwest? Please think about the mid-19th century. Thinking about mid-19th century, Western powers, backed by a strong navy, engaged in policy of colonization. And then the Indonesia fell in Dutch, and then also French into China, and British, Myanmar, India, Malaysia, Singapore, and in 1842, Big China, lost to Britain in Opium War. That gave big shock to Japan, because for Japan, China was a mentor. Big China was lost. So geographically, southwest of Japan is close to the continent of China. So felt imminent threat compared to shogunate. Shogunate faced the Pacific Ocean. But southwest clans, they are working, they are governing under shogunate and isolation policy, but frequently they see the Western gunboat near the East China Sea or Japan Sea, the frequent visit. And there's only one open port at the time of the shogunate, was west of Kyushu, Nagasaki. and then their only contact with the West was through Dutch. So they are feeling more pressure. So sea defense was the first motivation of industrialization. Today I will discuss about iron, steel, shipbuilding, coal mining, those three industries. I analyzed the industrial evolution into three phases. First is trial and error experimentation period and isolation. After Tokugawa shogunate opened the port, direct importation of Western technology comes with a foreign engineer. And then the third, domestic expertise was grown with the newly acquired knowledge and technology to adopt and adapt aggressively more Western technology. So those three phases in the three industries. First, during the isolation period, as everybody read the history book, under the isolationist policy, another important aspect was shipbuilding ban. Shogunate since 1635, they banned large vessel shipbuilding, construction of large vessels going to high sea. Therefore, at that time, Besaisen, you can see the small ship, wooden boat with a single mast, was typically available for inter-island coastal transportation. So, there were frequent appearance of the Western ship in the west coast, near the East China Sea. However, Perry's arrival, Commodore Perry's arrival, United States East India Squadron, driven by Commodore, led by Commodore Perry, really shook whole nation because they came across the big ocean, Pacific Ocean. And finally, they felt real threat. The first immediate reaction was to lift the ban of the large vessel shipbuilding, encourage the clans to start constructions of the ship and the canal to defend the nation, and then also expel the foreigners for the first time. Robert Louis Stevenson, the author of the Treasure Island, wrote about the guy, people living in the Tokugawa room, and he was writing about the revolutionary fighter called Torajiro Yoshida. Other name is Shoin Yoshida. He attempted to stow away on one of the black ships, Commodore Perry's black ship, and arrested. And he was confined into his hometown, and he opened the school and teach his students about military and political things. Until he was executed at the 29th. So many of them who studied in Shoin school later played important role in the Meiji restoration. At that time in the isolation, there was only one island in Nagasaki, located in the west of Kyushu, was a window to the west. That was the Dejima Island. Some rising clans in the shogunate rushed to build reverberated furnace and blast furnace, aspiring to build the iron cannon, and it seeks access for the technical information from Dejima in Nagasaki. That translator played an important role for the dissemination of the information. They were not allowed to contact. So basically, based on the textbook, there are two design manuals, the two designs, architectural designs of reverberatory furnace and blast furnace. They copy. They based on that textbook, authored by Yuri Hugenin. They built, those samurai built reverberatory furnace, the blast furnace. 11 reverberatory furnaces were built, 19 blast furnaces were built. However, building iron cannon requires comprehensive technology. So we use the pig iron from Tatara iron making method, and it was also well working in cannon and making arms. So trial and error attempt was not so successful. Southwest clan, the Saga clan was the first to build iron cannon because they were in charge of defending the Nagasaki port. There, Saga, Choshu, Hiden, and then Satsuma, and then the Tosa. And then those are the playing quite important role in Meiji Restoration. And Satsuma clan, who are at the southern gate, southern tip of the Japanese archipelago. They are also controlling Okinawa. They have the governed by the Lord Nariaki Shimazu, who had good foresight under the isolation. They are quick to react after the Opium War because they are close to China and also controlling Ryukyu. So they had a big passion to build the steamboat and then western boat. They are quick to react to the shogun's encouragement of the building ship. Do you know where the origin of the Japanese flag is coming from? Does anybody know any views about the Japanese flag? Where is it coming from? Anybody knows? Satsuma built 3 masted ships right away after the shogun's call. This is called Shoheiman. In order to distinguish, this is Japanese ship. It's not the Western ship. It's a Japanese technology, and it was a Japanese ship. It's a Satsuma ship. Being afraid of friendly fires, they hoisted the flag. That was the beginning of the national flag. So it's quite important. And then they also built the steamboat based on some wrecked ship, but using brass to make the engine, and then making the nails with the sandpaper. It was not practical. It was 2 horsepower. So when I read the diary of the samurai who challenged the steamboat, he wrote that as if it was the order to fly without the wings. So it was impossible. It required comprehensive science and technology knowledge. So without it, they are isolated from industrial West for 2 centuries. It was insurmountable challenge. On the other hand, what Shogun did, Shogun undertook the construction of a navy, asking Dutch for the help for training the samurais. And left side, there was the Nagasaki Naval Institute. But can you recognize a ship? They tried to build a navy with that ship. So it was really difficult to construct a navy. But here, the samurai understand the need to encounter science and technology. They challenge sine, cosine, physics, astronomy in Dutch. The first time to encounter. And they also built the Nagasaki Ironworks Foundry to repair the marine engine with the support of the Dutch engineer. That was the beginning. Here, in Choshu 5's picture, do you know Choshu 5? The Shoin Yoshida's Academy, some of the students, the Choshu people, left clandestine trip to United Kingdom, smuggled into Johnny Madison's ship from Yokohama, leave Japan. Any attempt to leave the country at that time was actually death penalty. So they risked their lives, they left London. When they returned, they were determined to build industrial economy in order to preserve national independence. That rapid industrialization was a policy they seek for. Prime Minister Hirobumi Ito is the right side, and then those five, Kaoru Inoue, Foreign Minister, Masaru Inoue was becoming the father of the railroad, Endo Kinsuke, Mint Bureau Chief, and another Yozo Yamao. He was become the Minister of Public Works, that engineer. Right side was a calligraphy of Hirobumi Ito. Open the nation. That was the mission. Satsuma, the clan, they went into war against Britain. They got lost in 1963. They recognized the British power. So decided to send 19 students to London on a clandestine voyage again, with the support of Scottish merchant Glover. So they followed the Choshu fight. So next stage is the direct importation of the technology. Shogunate has to open the port in light of domestic and then overseas pressure. So they started to open the port, and the merchants came over from all over the world. France, of course Dutch, strong presence of Dutch, and the Scottish merchants came over. Thomas B. Glover, he came to Japan at the age of 21 in 1959. The port, before opening of the port, he built the Glover House and the office in the top of the hill, looking over Nagasaki ironwork. And then he provided arms and weapons and then machineries and then supported engineers. So he was providing the weapons to the Satsuma, Choshu, and all the Southwest clan. Eventually, they became strong and they toppled the Meiji government. So he became the catalyst of the Meiji restoration and then also facilitator of industrialization. 19 students from Satsuma went to England. 2 of them returned and went into joint venture with Glover. This is the first steam-powered slip dock in Japan in 1859. So, from Aberdeen, which was coming from his brother, Aberdeen. And they could finally successfully pull the steamboat out of the water by steam winch. That is also the beginning of Japanese samurais that understand structure of the steamboat. Finally, they can start repairing the bottom of the ship. Before that, they always said they purchased the ship from Glover, but or the other traders, but they couldn't fix it. So that's why they have to send it to Shanghai to fix it. So from that time, they could fix and repair and then understand the structures of the ship. So since Commodore Perry's visit, shipbuilding was at the heart of new national mission, aspiration to construct large modern ocean-going steamship for Navy and merchant fleet. So always building large ship was becoming the mission of Japan. And that mission was accomplished by one of the clan, Tosa clan. That was the Tosa clan, which became the Mitsubishi, 3 Diamond. Do you know Mitsubishi? Diamond. Yataro Iwasaki, the founder of the Mitsubishi, before Meiji Restoration, 1868, he went to Nagasaki and sold the rubber and then purchased arms. At that time, he learned the concept of agreement because samurai are not accustomed to the concept of the agreement. So he learned the agreement. And then after Meiji Restoration, one of the groups, Tosa clan, was the winner side, one of the Southwest clan, who won the Meiji Restoration. Choshu Satsuma went to the government, but Tosa clan decided to stay in business because building industry was also the mission of the country. In 1871, the clan was abolished. And the samurai in 1876 decided to lay down the sword. That was a major thing because they lost the job. The samurai winner of the revolution, but lost the jobs. So Iwasaki hired those unemployed samurai. They have to train the samurai to be able to businessmen, also building the ship. Samurai at that time was in the hierarchy of the society, in the feudal society. It was very, very difficult to smile to lower class people. No longer they have the sword. That was the identity and the dignity of the samurai. They didn't have money, but they had the pride. But they had to lay down the sword and now cut the top knot, and then have to wear the apron and have to smile. And this is the mask. Actually, Mitsubishi was using for the hospital training of the samurai, how to smile. They use the fan with a coin, and they show the samurai how to bow. That's how they train the samurai to be able to do business with important customers' greed. They had to learn. And this mask is still saved in safety box of Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank in Marunouchi branch. Still the treasure of the Mitsubishi Group's people. And the three principles of the Tosa clan, still the Mitsubishi three principles. The three principles is always be with the country, serve for the nation, and fairness. Summarize fairness and duty. And not to bother any like a small business, but have to do the big business. And then global business, always looking at the world. Those are three principles still we have. So samurai became businessmen, clan became company. This is Nagasaki Ironwork in the 1860s when the Dutch came over to train the samurai for marine steam engines repair. This is Mitsubishi Kogyo Yobigakko in 1899. Mitsubishi opened the school to train their own samurai son to be able to understand the metal work and also machinery. This is number 3 dreadnought. What I wanted to show was turbine. In Industrial Revolution, Thomas Newcomen, James Watt, and the third person, who is important in Industrial Revolution, was Charles Algernon Parsons. So, designed dreadnought. And this marine and land use turbine, Mitsubishi produced under the license agreement of Charles Algernon Parsons Company in 1904. So it took only 30 years. after they started. That was with the British support. They started to understand the design of the ship. From the design to building capacity, it was already by 1910. They already had the full capacity of the shipbuilding. So full-blown industrialization in shipbuilding was achieved with the hand of Tosakura, Mitsubishi, Sri Diamond. And then now they had the capacity to build the ship, large vessels for commercial and military. Next is iron steel. So steel is the mother of the industry, basis for national security. Without the steel, there can be no industry. It was pictures of the Yawata Imperial Steelwork in northern Kyushu. Japan had a struggle to build that Yawata. Japan had a long traditional history of Tatara culture for making beautiful sword, but that was for the art. And then it's beautiful sword, but the Tatara method of iron making was not right for the cannon or weapons. Tatara pig iron made from iron sand is hard to melt in reverberatory furnace, and even if it does, it's a white pig iron which had a lot of impurities such as titanium with a low silicon concentration. White pig iron with a low silicon concentration. So it's not right for the cannon, and then always it was brittle and prone to fracture and explosion when fired. So that's why trial and error experimentation in reverberatory furnace by the samurai was not so successful. There was one breakthrough. It was in northeast of Japan. It's not southwest because those are the places we had the big magnetite iron deposit. Try and error attempt in iron making was successful in Kamaishi by the man called Takato Oshima. It was charcoal blast furnace in very small scale, still intact, with the Japanese applications of craftsmen. And that was based on the Dutch textbook, it was medieval technology. It was successful in 1858. After the success, Meiji government, when the new government came over, they imported the state-of-the-art technologies, trying to do coke blast furnace in Kamaishi. They made a huge capital investment, but it failed in 3 years because it was not the same raw materials. So it was given to local businessman called Chobe Tanaka. And then he took that operation, he tried, but 48 times they were unsuccessful. So almost they gave up. But the workers said, no, I want to see the success. I don't need a salary. Let's try one more time. I want to make it successful. And then 49 times became successful. They made a success, and that was the beginning of Nippon Steel Sumitomo. That was the beginning of the Kamaishi work. That's how it started. After the success of the Kamaishi, at that time the market is still small. The Choshu 5, Hirobumi Ito, it's important, absolutely important to build the steel industry. So they actually built, there's a vote for building the steelworks of Imperial Steelworks, supported by Prime Minister Ito. And it was passed through the Diet. They built the Imperial Steelwork in Chikuho coal mining area of the northern Kyushu. Son of Oshima Takato, the guy who was successful in Kamaishi, was appointed the chief engineer officer and then visited all over the country as a mission. And then found the good Hoffnungsschütte, the German. And they import the German system, design and implement the German system. German engineer came over, Kamaishi engineer came over, they started the new operation. The fire blowing, but it was not successful in the beginning again. However, at that time, already Japanese engineers was quite becoming knowledgeable, and the craftsmen who had the tacit knowledge, knowing the temperatures of fire, the color of the fire, they made it adjustment, and they're quite successful. So in 10 years, they built whole mass production system. So at this point, the Japanese industrialization was complete. So this was 1910 repair shop's pictures. Still, the same repair factory is working. Good Hoffnungsschütte, still rolled steel structure. And then the new extension part was made in Yawata, so technology transfer, we can see. When Japan was recognized as an industrial nation, industrialization was completed. It was in Japan, British exhibition in 1910. At that time, Mitsubishi, Mitsui, everybody's big companies exhibitors. Among them, Imperial Steelworks. So that includes all the catalogs of all the equipment, nails, anchors, fitting, and structural steels, and bridges, and then soft and then wires and rails, everything were in the catalog. At this point, Japan was recognized as an industrial nation. 9 months, it was displayed to attract 8 million visitors. After Imperial Steelworks started operation, the mass production, bridges were built, parliament, modern building, train, so market economy was going. Coal industry, why it is important? Japan earned the foreign currency in textile and also coal. Coal was a key commodity for industrialization and one that Japan had in abundance. The first modern coal mine, it was developed by Thomas B. Glover in joint venture with Saga Club, who defended the Nagasaki port. They went into joint venture, introduced modern machinery from England, and then hit the coal under 46 meters under the surface. And Thomas Glover, after this investment, he went into bankrupt because too much investment. And that company go to Dutch, and then they sold to the Johnny Madison. And then they took over, but it was not so successful in joint venture with a local politician, Goto Shojiro. And then there was a very famous philosopher, Fukuzawa, intermediary, and then sold to Iwasaki. Iwasaki, in the beginning, was not so interested in this coal mining, but he decided to make an investment because he looked at the steam engine. Steam engine at that time was the future. So he was successful. He rehired Glover to manage the mine, and it became successful joint venture. And then he purchased other islands, and then that's the famous island Hashima, Gukanshima, Battleship Island. And they actually reclaimed the surrounding the island, became big, 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 and then built the high rise. And one time it had 5,600 people. It was closed in 1976. And the next is a mine which was successful. It's actually related to Mitsui. I don't know you know the name of the Mitsui, but Mitsui used to be the kimono broker. And then Mitsukoshi department store was belonged to Mitsui. It's a big conglomerate. They also made fortune out of the coal. And foreign engineers of the Meiji government, that after their working experience in Glover, Meiji government hired a guy and they developed the mine. But in few years, after too much investment, government gave up and opened for the bidding. Mitsubishi and the Mitsui raised their hand, and the Mitsui won. And then Mitsui knows the distribution very well. So first they're thinking about distribution of how to make money. At that time, the Meiji government built the big port far away from the mines, because these areas of the mines is a marshy tidal flood. It was very difficult to mine. Excessive water, need a lot of machinery investment. So they built a port, coal port far away with the Dutch technology. But Mitsui hired a guy who was a graduate of Massachusetts Institute of Technology as a co-manager. He looked at the mines and they're saying that we need to build the port by the mines. So they abandoned the big investment of the government and then developed, betting all the company money to build this port, hummingbird shape in marshy tidal flood. It's called Meiji port, and build the electrification and the distribution. This long-growing breakwaters was trying to stop the mud, and then to come into the port, and the wing part is basically for turnover, and then 6 meters, 5.5 to 8 meters low tide, high tide, tide difference was adjusted by lock gate and sluice gate. So this hummingbird shape is still alive, and then as he predicted, even though that the coal mine is worn out, you have derivative industry to grow. And then Mitsui Chemical, Meiji Machinery companies, all the derivative of the coal industry coming from here. Now that the Meiji manufacturing company is having the technology of the shale gas. So that's how it was evolved. These are the pictures of construction. See, the Iwakura mission after Meiji, they have the 109 students and government officials sent overseas to see all the industrial technology and brought it back. And that's why all those shipbuilding or coal mining or ISU, we have those installations since then. So one of the Choshu Five, the Yamao Yozo, he was working as an apprentice in shipyard in Glasgow. He came back and became the Minister of Public Works. He told at that time, even if there is no industry at present in Japan, if we train a man, he will find an industry to create. That's Japan's Meiji Industrial Revolution. And that we are having Industrial Revolution, still facing the new wave of the Industrial Revolution all the time, challenging the technology. The Industrial Revolutions moved to Vietnam, China, all Southeast Asia. What happened in Meiji is what's happening in Asia, neighboring country right now. And then we also have Industrial Revolution going on in Japan. This is the sunset of the Kakajima. It's now ruined, but it's nice, beautiful industrial heritage. I hope you come to see Meiji in Japan.